Good morning, Metalheads Internet. Welcome to a new episode of the Metal Meltdown. And today we are looking at a new pop metal record from Poppy entitled I Disagree, which is already looking to be one of 2020's most controversial albums, which says a lot considering we're only 2 weeks into the fucking year. It's gonna be a really long year at this rate, if y'all are getting pissed off now. Now, what's interesting about this particular addition to the world of pop metal is that Poppy is not an established metal artist attempting to fuse pop into her sound, similar to that of, say, recent records from Bring Me the Horizons or Issues. No, other way around. Poppy is an established pop singer, YouTube personality, a cultural internet icon to a certain extent, attempting to bridge over into the world of heavy metal with her already established sound and aesthetic. Her brand of bubbly, sensual, uber-modern pop infused with industrial metal, new metal, metalcore, harsh electronic music, even dashes of post-rock, believe it or not. Refined and arranged with the glitz and professionalism that is expected of any pop record. It's a pretty ambitious endeavor, to say the least, and a very risky one, as Poppy runs the danger of alienating her own fan base and pissing off another fan base that, let's be honest, is already pretty easy to piss off. I'm pretty sure the very concept of this album, the very concept of Poppy, is enough to infuriate elitist keyboard warriors all over the world. For the most part, I think Poppy rises to that challenge effectively and confidently, as the album doesn't just deliver a solid fusion of these two aforementioned musical planets, but also feels pretty dangerous and honest and sincere at moments. And that's something I love about this album right off the bat. Even in I Disagree's funkiest and most ineffective moments, Poppy holds her head high. She walks strong with confidence. She sounds like she belongs in this genre. This doesn't feel like an attempt to cash in on the momentum of pop metal thanks to new albums from artists such as Bring Me the Horizon and Issues. This feels genuine. This feels like something that Poppy legitimately wanted to do and is having fun doing, which is frankly not something I can say for any artist crossing over into completely alien territory, unless we're talking about a Trent Reznor or a David Bowie or someone like that. But of course, as we all know, none of that means anything if the songs don't deliver, and thankfully I Disagree does mostly deliver. I mean, the fusion that we're talking about here does vary, and there is a little bit of give and take as far as the metal side of things are concerned, but I think even when the pop influences really take over, or even on the other end, when the metal influences completely take over, everything is arranged and balanced in a way that it still feels pretty even. There aren't any jarring contrasts, there aren't any weird, awkward moments, and it's a pretty casual, easy-flowing listen. Take, for instance, title track I Disagree, probably one of the strongest examples of this fusion right off the bat. A song built upon a base of oddly progressive and groovy industrial rock and supported by a very ethereal hook that reminds me of Grimes a little bit of that sensual, spacey edge. And I really love the lyrics here. It touches upon that classic rebellious spirit that makes heavy metal so exciting and inspiring for people like me, but also adds a little bit of Poppy's more modern feminist edge. Reading, I disagree with the way you continue to pressure me. I disagree with the way you are failing to pleasure me. I disagree everything is going how it's meant to be. And I love how happy Poppy is to immediately begin poking and prodding even further on following track Bloodmoney, which immediately delves into harsher, more violent electronic industrial metal sounds, even adding this kind of dubstep heartbeat to the whole thing, and throwing in some of Poppy's most eye-catching lyrics, to say the least. Reading, keep telling yourself that you've been playing nice, and go beg for forgiveness from Jesus the Christ. Your soul can't be saved for all the sins you've ignored, and the devil is well aware that he is adored. Never forget the excess of a man, because the grabbing hands always grab what they can. There's a real bitterness to all of this towards Christianity, Christian leaders being complicit with sexual harassment and assault, chauvinistic men, that feels really powerful, really effective, and of course is emboldened by the nasty electronic soundscapes. I'm sure as you can tell, Bloodmoney does abandon a little bit of the pop mentality, but the cool thing about the way this album is arranged, that even when a song does dip further into one side, the following track compensates by digging further into the other side. Case in point, following track Anything Like Me dips its toes further into the pop influence and still has some pretty grating metal influence. I mean, it even has some weird, deranged riffs in here that kind of feel like if Dillinger Escape Plan attempted to write an Avenged Sevenfold riff. But for the record, even when Poppy does dip her toes a little bit too far into the metal spectrum, I'm still enjoying myself. Take, for instance, on a track like Fill the Crown, this sexy, dirty, industrial goth metal banger that at times reeks a little bit too much of Marilyn Manson, but hey, if you're gonna rip anyone off, you may as well rip off the fucking Antichrist superstar. Like, why not? It fits in perfectly. The rest of the album isn't as effective, but still pretty enjoyable. Sit and Stay and Bite Your Teeth are fun little numbers, even if the former does reek of something I would hear from, like, the opening scenes of Blade. And I also kind of enjoy the more laid-back ambient tracks like Nothing I Need and Sick of the Sun, which offer a nice palate cleanser after the heavy, grating, industrial bangers littered across the thing. Now, unfortunately, there is one song that just doesn't do a fucking thing for me, and that would be the opening track, Concrete. And unfortunately, not only is it ineffective, but it is a legitimately bad song. And had I heard it before hearing the full album, I probably wouldn't have gone in as intrigued as I did. I'm going to guess that this was one of the first songs written for this project, because this is a case where both the metal and the pop influences are pushed to the absolute extreme. And what happens as a result is jarring, uncomfortable, and legitimately feels very forced, even if Poppy herself still comes across as genuine. The lyrics in this thing are just batshit insane, and that is perhaps the most disappointing thing about this song, considering that the lyrics across the record are effective and even somewhat poignant. I mean, if you can fucking tell me what cover me in concrete, turn me into a street, chewy, chewy, yummy, 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 sharp and pointy is supposed to mean, then by all means do so, because otherwise I'm never going to fucking know. However, as we've already noted, the rest of the album certainly delivers and even makes up for the massive blunder of Concrete. So I'm actually going to give this a pretty enthusiastic 3.5 out of 5. Now, granted, I don't know exactly how all of y'all will perceive this. In fact, I'm willing to bet there's going to be some angry comments as soon as I post this. But I will say that regardless of how it is received, I hope that Poppy continues to explore these heavier territories in the future, because I really think she's onto something with these lyrics, with these sounds, with this presentation. I think that she's created something kind of unique out of a lot of familiar ideas, and that is something not just rare within pop and metal, but rare in general. Like, even though I'd figured out a little bit of the pattern and flow of this thing, I still wasn't entirely sure what was going to happen across the record, making it inherently exciting for me, and for Poppy as well, as she's clearly so confident, so full of pride and energy on this thing. Interestingly, she ends the album on a lyric, "You can be anyone you want to be," and she clearly believes that. She clearly wants to be in the world of heavy metal. This is clearly the domain that she wants to have all to herself, and I hope that she fucking does. It's not a perfect album. There are some issues with balancing, some elements and little bits and pieces that don't work, but it all comes together ultimately into a still satisfying package, one that I will definitely be looking to revisit in the future, and I will definitely be excited to see expanded upon if there is another Poppy metal album. 3.5 out of 5, a very enthusiastic one at that. Definitely check it out. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be. So what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? Thank you for watching, and make sure you try to subscribe so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately, and you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.